Good morning. So we're back on our book, The Garden of Peace. Yesterday we mentioned, and we've been mentioning, that you cannot treat your wife as a vessel, as a object that you are going to satisfy yourself, and then, go. Why? Because she's eventually going to feel it, and she's going to feel it to the point that she's going to hate you. And we see in our midst that the situation is mamish. That's how it is. Even after 30, 40 years, you'd figure that what? They're going to get used to it, or they're going to, maybe whatever. No. He says it's going to come to that she's going to hate you. Why? Because you're using me. And therefore she'll make all kinds of excuses. It hurts, I don't want to, I'm tired, it's this, it's that, in order not to be with you. You hear? Why? Because she senses that she's been used, and that's all you want. So therefore he says, very important that a husband gives to the woman, understands her, feels her, gives her emotional, more than anything, emotional, first of all, emotionally, and then slowly into the, physical act. Over here he has a caption that says vicious cycle. In the Sefer Hamidot, Reb Nachman writes, "Hey, wow, you're gonna be a millionaire." He just mentioned you. We just started. What? It's interesting. That's funny. Wow. Okay. It says in Sefer Hamidot, Reb Nachman writes, "Whoever separates a man from his wife, meaning that he goes to the husband and beautifies his wife to him, and then he goes to the wife and degrades her husband in her eyes until they separate, he will lose his income." This is a quote from a book, from Nachman's book. Wow. He says, we won't discuss why one who separates between them will lose his income. Let's focus on the way he does it, right? By beautifying, quote unquote, the wife to her husband. This doesn't logical. Maybe he says it isn't logical. Surely, if he wants to separate them, he should degrade the wife to her husband. He would tell him how ugly and simple she is, that she's not good enough for him, and then go to the wife and talk against her husband. How does beautifying his wife separate them? You hear what he says?
Can you explain it in plain English?
Yes. He says yes. He says like this. He says a man who's going to beautify his wife.
Which way? How?
Your wife.
Oh,
Let's say your wife.
How?
I'm going to go and I'm going to say, wow, your wife, she's so beautiful. She did that. And then he's going to come to her and say, your husband is the worst person in the world. He's this, he's that, right? He says, if a person is going to separate people like that, he will have a very bad income. So he says, forget about the income. Let's discuss on how he's going to separate them. How is it by telling her that she's beautiful, is he going to separate them?
He's not supposed to talk to somebody.
You're right, but let's say he does. You're right about that, right? So let's say he does. He cannot understand what does it mean. What does it mean that he's going to say that she's beautiful in his eyes and come to her and degrade him? He doesn't understand. Luch should go to him and say, yo, your wife? Ugly. I don't know how you could be with a fat, this, that. Because that would be the easiest way to separate them, correct? Mm-hmm. Let's see. This can be understood according to the aforementioned spiritual rule. By beautifying the wife to her husband, the third party increases the husband's lust for her. Feeling of lust, the wife will be repulsed by him. The troublemaker strengthens his sense of repulsion by telling the wife what a worthless husband he is. And I'll explain. The husband becomes angry at her for refusing intimacy, and a vicious cycle is created. In this way, the troublemaker sets the couple off on a downward spiritual cycle that may end up in separation and divorce. This is what he's saying. Before, we already had 16 classes like this. So before he was saying that there is a concept, and this is a very serious concept, we mentioned it a couple of times, that a person feels what's inside another person. For instance, there is such a thing where you all of a sudden hate somebody, right? For some reason. And you know why. You never did it. You never dealt with this person. He says, you know why you hate that person? Because that person hates you. Inside the person, who's this guy? Who do you think he is? Yeah? And by him saying that inside his mind, how do you say? Yeah. So you basically thinking, why do I hate this guy? I never dealt with him. I never spoke with him. You hear? So what he's saying is, When you have lust for your wife, and only lust, meaning you just want to come in, chick chuck, and that's it, she's gonna feel that she's being used. She's gonna feel it already. You don't even have to tell her. It's like he says, it's like a spiritual thing. So when he says that he beautifies the wife in his eyes, he's telling you, oh, your wife, so beautiful, this, that. How could you want to let her go? You know, meaning, so you're starting to lust more for her. You're starting to want her more. To him, he goes, says, your husband, he's a piece of nobody. He's this. The feeling that she feels that he's using me is invigorated even worse. To the point that what? She's like, yeah, what do I need him for? You hear? Reverse psychology, Ongoveri. That's why he beautifies her in his eyes. In her eyes, he makes him loathsome. You hear? And that cycle just keeps going on until, so we said fake it till you make it. But really, the fake it till you make it, you have to really work on the fact that you really internally, right? We said internally you have to feel.
From this situation, you're not supposed to be in this situation to begin with.
You're right.
So what's the point?
So he's gradually giving us an understanding that besides physical interaction, there is an internal interaction that a person really has to have genuine feelings for his husband and wife. But more the husband is the one in control over here. Meaning at the end of the day, he gears that everything is in the husband's hands. You are the one who is in charge of the ship. You want the ship to sink, ship will sink. You know, this morning somebody told me, you know what? He says there's two ways to die. You stand and they shoot you, or you beg for your life. You hear? So I said, you'd rather just stand and let them shoot you? He says, yes. This kind of man is not going to be successful. Why? He shows his arrogance and says, I'm not moving from my arrogance. You hear? I'm not moving. Yeah, but if you tell him please, he'll let you go. I don't want to say please. I'm a man. I'm going to die with
It's not just men. We see in Tanakh a lot of Jewish kings. They stood up.
And who said it's good? Who said it's good?
Huh?
Who said it was good? There's a way to do it. There's a way to do it. And he's showing us how to do it. And not only that, how to do it and be successful. By the way, Rabbi, I have to make a little note over here. Yesterday we had an individual here that we thought he was against this book, if you remember. At the end of the 30 minutes that we had a conversation, he was sitting here listening. He says, no, this book is correct. You have to say nice things to your wife. You have to say. I said, what? I said, it cannot be. You talking like that? He says, yeah. When I said man, I meant you still have to, hey, John, this and that, la la la. He was saying things. I said, wait a second. You never read this book. How you know this thing? He says, no, this is natural. It's he was even outside. He had to go, but he didn't go. Why? Because he started to side with the book. Yes. That manly man. You hear?
Manly man.
That manly man.
Manly man.
Because he's a manly man.
Manly man.
So listen to this. He says, from the many hours that I've spent listening to the sorrow, afflictions, and pains of the people that come to me, both couples and individuals, I have noted one consistent recurring theme. The destruction of both individuals and families that results from a man having become a slave to his sexual lust. Here he says, many people that come to him, what happens? At the end of the day, we have to be honest with each other. What does a man need? Sex. That's it. All this work, money, this, that, it all culminates down to, my thing is done, that's it. I can go on, continue my thing.
Well, man needs more than that.
And unfortunate, but you know what?
Respect.
Sometimes he'll drop the kavod and drop the respect, and as long as he gets that, he's good. And you know what? From anybody. It doesn't have to be from a certain individual. You hear? So, which is even worse. You hear what I'm saying? Meaning, if it would be legal for a man to just be with any woman, he would never get married. He doesn't need this attachment. You know what I'm saying? He doesn't need it. So what do I need somebody to be completely attached to me like that for? But it's not the case, and therefore we have to work on ourselves. And therefore he says, but what's bringing us down is this lust for he mentions sexual lust. Here it says, at the beginning of my journey, my teacher and spiritual guide, Rabbi Eliezer Berlan, sent me to make peace between a couple. I went to homes and I spoke to the wife of the man who was close to Rabbi Berlan. She told me the truth, that her husband had an insatiable lust and that she was absolutely repulsed by him. She had been pushed to the edge and said that she was not willing to even consider continuing to live with him. Now, by the way, we're not talking about a guy on the street. We're talking Rav Berland's close friend, which means he was probably a holy rabbi as well. He's not going to have friends that are taki.
They're friends.
Yeah, he's talking about somebody who's holy, right? Who's probably going to the mikvah, praying 3 times a day, doing everything he's supposed to do, learning Torah. But he had a lust and a desire for. You hear? She says, I don't want him. I want a divorce. He says, I returned to my rabbi and told him, there's nothing to do. The husband is so crazy with lust that his wife is not prepared to live with him anymore. If that is the case, Rabbi Burnley replied, then you are right. There is nothing we can do. Okay. Many husbands that contact me suffer from anxiety, confusion, and worries. Some even to the point that they want to terminate their marriage and even their lives. From listening carefully to their stories, I realize that they too have become slaves to their lust. It gives them no rest, and they don't know what to do with themselves. For many of them, it is living hell. Meaning, all he is thinking in his mind is, when is the next time I'm going to be able to relieve myself? You hear?
But that means they're doing something that makes them to be
Oh,
like
very
that.
good, very good. Their wives are repulsed by them. I can't hear. Yeah, usually, what we would think, what? Well, she should be happy. I want to be with her. No. He says the wives are repulsed by them. Those husbands that pursue their lusts in other ways become filled with remorse and self-hatred. Meaning, if they do zera levatala and things like that, now they hate it. Why? Because they know it's not a proper thing to do. They do it because they cannot, because they have the lust, and then they hate it. You hear? I tell them that the only solution is to escape from their lust. They need to sleep by themselves, stop gazing lewdly at their wives, at other women, and at the media. You hear? It says they should devote hours to prayer, begging Hashem to save them from the prison of lust that they have found themselves in. Immodest pictures should be taboo in their lives, and they should say Tikkun Klali every day and go to the mikveh daily, or at least once a week. More than anything, they should seek Hashem's assistance in overcoming their urge for lust, especially by devoting extensive time to personal prayer. Now, many people think that when he's talking about lewdness, poodness, he's talking about porn. No, not necessarily. Because there's a lot of quote-unquote non-pornographic things that are very, and people are
Get
on these.
hooked to this.
They get cooked. They on this thing and they sing. She's doing this, she's doing that, she's that.
Yeah.
All this, in the mind, it creates a whole thing where a person is not able to get out of
So
this.
basically, they become attached emotionally to this lady when they're following her.
No, but
like
any
on
lady.
Instagram,
But he
like-
does. But he knows he cannot be with this lady. So
Yeah,
he
but
needs an
he's
outlet.
following-
But
he's
he needs
following her.
But he needs an outlet in order to get this whatever he has on to get it out. You understand? Yeah, he's following her.
He's
yeah,
following her.
he's
He's
following
emotionally
her.
attached to her.
He's a slave.
He's a slave to her.
Some husbands
She's not.
who are not at all
she's
troubled by their
forbidden.
lust have complained to me that their wives are refusing to be with them, hoping that I will justify their complaints and put their wives in their place. They expect me to blame their wives for not fulfilling their conjugal duties. To their great surprise, not only do I not justify their complaints, but instead I tell them clearly that if they don't get themselves out of their lowly lust, their suffering will never end. You hear what he's saying? He says, some men come, Rabbi John, I'm very good. I don't do these things. I don't lust for my wife. I don't know what's wrong with her. She doesn't want to sleep with me. I'm mamish. You see me, Rabbi, I'm in shul, I'm praying, I'm learning. He says, you know what I do to them? You liar, you. Get out of your lust. There is something you're doing that's affecting your mind, and therefore, in your heart, she feels it, and she doesn't want to be with you. You hear?
No. What's next? There is Akiva, you know what?
Bro,
Akiva?
Perlman. Yeah.
He is a Mumche is an expert for trauma. And he told me, I said, oh, the world is out of hands already. I don't know why. He said, a boy came to me, a yeshiva boy, that the wife of his Rebbe the wife of his rabbi gave him her telephone number. She gave the boy the telephone number. And they started to text each other. And then he went next stage, and he said it came to a point that the child got a trauma. He couldn't understand how a wife of his rabbi, she looking elsewhere. Not only this, and now she had to confess to the husband, and he called the student over here, Miss Karen said, so now I told Akiva, what are you going to do with this? He said, something is wrong in the life of the couple over there.
In the rabbi's couple.
Yeah,
Yes.
yes.
Yes. And he said, usually I don't like to do so. I hate it, but I don't have a choice. I started to dig in their intimacy life. And with him being a rabbi and everything else, he was b'chlal out. He didn't understand his wife to such an point that she was ready to cheat on him.
Wow. Which he mentions that they could come to the point where
Yeah. Man, we cannot observe this. You know?
We cannot comprehend, we cannot feel it. The feeling is totally different level, the woman.
So
Totally
it is
different.
to
We
our
cannot do it.
advantage to have connection with the wife that she needs
Well,
to be
absolutely,
connected. It's
absolutely.
to our advantage.
Absolutely. But what happens is when we're in this lust phase, because a lot of people, they live double lives. They are husbands to their wife, or trying to be husbands, and they have a whole
The system.
extracurricular activity on the side, if you understand what I'm saying. They watch things they're not supposed to watch. They do things to themselves they're not supposed to do. And this creates a major, strong gap between the husband and wife to where she's going to feel it. Even though she's not seeing you doing this thing. You understand? So he's saying, escaping from this lust is essential for peace at home. Our sages have called that guarding of personal holiness, again he mentioned that, the guarding of the foundation. Meaning when you guard your holiness, whatever that is, guarding your eyes, not watching things, he says that's the foundation. Personal holiness is the foundation of faith and every good character trait. If a man wants to have strong faith, humility, peace of mind, and tranquility, if he wants to be joyous and patient with others, and especially with his wife, he needs to begin by guarding his personal holiness. This creates a space and a fertile ground in which he can develop all these other good traits. The only good and healthy way for husband and wife to live together is in the way described at the beginning of the Torah. And to the husband you will desire, meaning not the other way. Yeah? In the Torah it says, and she will desire you. Once you started desiring her, so it's a problem. He mentions, says, and he will rule over you. Someone who wants to merit peace in his home must escape this lust. You hear? How do we do that? We have to try to become a little bit more holier. That's the most important. Prayer is one of them. Yeah, for sure. Getting away from all this stupidity of the telephone. It's very important to get rid of that. You know, watching your eyes during work. Yeah, we're in areas where there's so much craziness going on. 47th Street, Canal Street, this street, that street. Just going into the train. You hear? It's very hard, but we have to work on ourselves.
One thing I
Yeah.
want to say, one time I witnessed Rabbi was driving on Yellowstone Boulevard in the car,
Yeah.
like this.
Ibi, what was he looking at?
I thought to myself, how he can see the road?
That's dangerous. That's dangerous. Maybe have a driver.
No, he was driving.
He says in the book of Kings, number 2, chapter 4, we are told about the Shunammite woman who dedicated a room in her home for the prophet Elisha to sleep in whenever he was passing through the town. This is how she described Elisha to her husband. And she said to her husband, behold, now I know that this is a holy man of God who often passed by us. Now, why did she say that? The Talmud in Tractate Berachot says, how did she know that he was a holy man? Our two great sages, Rav and Shmuel, each give a different answer. One says that she never saw a fly on his table, while the other states that she never saw nocturnal emission on the sheets. She used to clean the sheets. She said, wow, sheets are clean. Yeah, we can understand the latter opinion. This is clear sign of holiness. But the one who said that she never saw a fly on his table, how does this testify to his holiness? This opinion comes to teach us that the flies do not come to a place of holiness. This explains why there were never any flies in the holy temple. In the Beit HaMikdash, they said there were no flies. Even though animals were being slaughtered and all day long, and there was plenty of blood and fat all around, but because there was no holier place than this in the world, there was no flies there at all. The Maharsha, 17th century commentator on the Talmud, explains that a man's dining table acts in place of his altar in the holy temple. Therefore, just like there were no flies in the temple, so two flies could not come near Elisha's table, which had the holiness of the altar. The Rebbe who said that the Shunammite woman didn't see a fly on his table, and the rabbi who said that he didn't see nocturnal emission in the bed, really meant the same thing, because one goes with the other. The intention of both was the same. She saw something that testified to Elisha's personal holiness. This explains what Rab Nachman writes in Sefer Hamidot. The love of a wife for her husband can be recognized by the flies and mosquitoes in the house. Also, through their love, it can be known if the strength of the evil inclination has been weakened or not. The presence or absence of flies and mosquitoes in the home is indicative of the husband's holiness. The degree of his holiness, in turn, determines how much his wife will love him. And we said before, a wife only loves a husband who guards his personal holiness. And the degree of love between them will be indicative of whether the strength of the evil inclination has been weakened or not, because true love is only possible when the husband has weakened his passion and is not lustful. You know, he's talking about mosquitoes and everything like that. They say that when a person is not correct with his maser, what happens? Mice. They say mice. I kid you not, many times in my house, all of a sudden I see droppings. I'm thinking, what's going on? So we start, cleaning, this and that. Nothing. So I said, it says, maser, you're doing wrong. So I try, all of a sudden,
Disappear.
I didn't kill the mice. I don't even know where they are. But no mice dropping. And like that, the minute I start going a little bit better, what happens?
Again.
Mice dropping. I'm talking about years later. I'm thinking, what the heck? What's going on? Again, traps everywhere. Nothing. Start to do better myself. Yesterday, mamash, a miracle happened. A little bit scary. I cleaned the outside, and I see by the door, I said, right at the entrance of my door, twigs. Like, what is this twigs? Small twigs. At the entrance of my door. I'm thinking, what is it? I look up, 2 doves building a nest right on top of my door on the on the camera which I put. I'm like, what? I go, yo guys, come out here. These 2 doves are standing right there. And I call on my wife, she's like, wow, what is that? My wife starts to,
You and me, she said.
my wife starts, what does doves mean? She's like, what? Peace at home. I kid you not.
Anna.
Holy smoke! But it wasn't this color. It wasn't this color. It was like gray. I have a picture. I'm gonna show you a picture after class. You don't understand. They're trying to build a nest, but they cannot. They try. So the twigs are falling because it's like, hi, we left. I said, you know what? Leave them alone. I'd like to build. She looks like she's ready to give an egg. She'll give egg. Maybe we'll do shiloh hakan because it's kosher, right? Yeah. We leave. By the time we come back, it be more twigs. They could not build it. And I see they're gone. So now today I'm like, Hashem, bring them back. My son comes back from shul. He's like this. The doves are back, but he still cannot build it.
It's working.
Still in the same place.
It's working.
Still in the same place. It's
Help
the most,
him to build.
Listen, it's the most craziest thing. We all can say, it's an accident. But to me, personally, it's a such a sign. In front of the entrance of the house. Hi, go over there. Go. There's so many places they can start bringing up. No, right in front of the. And you know what? We're opening the door. We're closing the door. They're not moving.
And the camera, it's showing.
I'm
Hashem
looking.
sees everything.
It's crazy. Yo, it's the most craziest thing. So, which means what? This whole world is a spiritual world. If we don't get into the spirit of our wives by being emotionally tended to them the way they want.
Yes.
You understand? We all think we're doing the right thing. All of us here say, what do you mean? I'm treating my wife top notch. Shopping, this, that, vacation, got it. Mortgages paid, insurance, good. New car every 3 years. Everything is good. What is she lacking? I don't understand. She can't see that I got her back. I have friends who have girlfriends and everything. I don't do that. I don't have girlfriends. You understand? She knows that. Emotionally, she's zero. Why? Because we on our level, Astafio, we are on our level, are thinking that we're emotionally satisfying her, but really we're zero. Are not giving her what she needs. You understand? Our main focus is to do what she needs, not what we think she needs. You hear? I can bring you many gifts, but you know what?
If that's not what I
If
want.
that's not what you have a business, he's a dentist. I'm bringing him fruits and vegetables, thinking he's gonna make money, beef and this and that. It's like, Avram John, what you doing? What do you mean? I want you to make money. He's like, I can't make money like this. You bring me tools, you bring me fillings, you bring me toothpaste. Now we're talking. You hear? So he says, the Midrash in Bereshit Rabbah, on the verse says, when a man's ways please the Lord, even his enemies will make peace with him. Again, he mentions this. We mentioned this pasuk already many times. When a man's ways please the Lord, when I am good with Hashem, even my enemies are going to be in peace with me. So he says, Rabbi Yochanan says, his enemies refers to his wife. Rabbi Yosef, the son of Levi, says, this refers to the evil inclination. Rabbi Chia, even his enemies will make peace with him. This comes to include demons, flies, and mosquitoes. Here, 3 different opinions. Wife, evil inclination, and this other thing. The Midrash summarizes everything that we have just said until now. When Hashem helps a man to conquer his evil inclination for lust and attain personal holiness, this leads to him having true peace with his wife, and that there being no demons, flies, or mosquitoes in his home. You hear? So at the end of the day, it depends on who? The man himself.
Husband.
When you become holy, Hashem will take everything. He take care of everything. No flies, no problem with the wife. Yeah. And many of us, what? We're stubborn and say, what do you mean? I'm doing everything. I prayed today. I went to the mikveh, right? I did everything. Tu tefillinan. What else does Hashem wants from us? Holiness. He wants you to wash your eyes. He wants you to watch your brain. He wants to see where you're looking. You understand? Because that affects everything. The verse says, when a man's ways please the Lord, this is the prerequisite to his enemies making peace with him. We might think that it's possible to make peace with the evil inclination in other ways, through discussion and compromise, right? We do a lot of that. This is a mistake. The evil inclination is only willing to make peace once he has been knocked to the ground and conquered. Many people think they can try to negotiate with the evil inclination. Yeah, you know what? Let me give a little bit here, but I'll do a little bit there. Let me do that. He says, no. Until he's knocked to the ground, you're never going to conquer him. There can be no negotiations with the evil inclination. Giving in to his request only makes him want to demand more. As our sages have said, they taught, a person does not die with even half of his desires met. Yeah, we know that. Not even half. It says King David himself made this mistake when Hashem informed him that he was going to be tested by tempting him with the forbidden sexual relations. What did he do? He immediately performed conjugal act during the daytime, thinking that doing so would satisfy him and prevent him from craving a woman. Why? You hear what he says? Hashem says, Anna, my favorite student right here. Johnny came on. Mr. Kaiko himself. You hear what he says? He says, Hashem said to him, I'm going to test you with a woman. Okay? So he went, said, okay, let's go. Had relationship, and now that he's relieved, do whatever you want. Pass any kind of woman for me. I'll be a
I'm
strong
not gonna
guy.
fall.
I'm not going to fall. But our sages warn, a man possesses a small limb. When he satisfies it, it hungers more. When he starves it, it is satisfied. In the end, King David stumbled, right? Because what did he think? He think, let me satisfy him and everything will be okay. No, Nabarot, he said, I'm hungry for more. I'm here. You hear? Our sages commented on the verse, to love the Lord your God and to serve him with all your heart, and says that we must serve God with both our inclinations, good and bad. If we subdue the evil inclination, we can then harness his great power to help us serve Hashem. This is the true peace with the evil inclination.
There is one problem over here.
Yeah.
A person that does all this, over on the street, is it?
Yeah.
By the airplane, he will not sit next to a lady.
Yeah.
He'll stand there half an hour and say, I'm not going to sit. But at home, he doesn't go. He doesn't live good with his wife. And he goes to the mikveh. He does everything. He doesn't go. So now there is a different problem. That's not a problem. So now you have to go to at the bottom of it.
What's that?
There are people that we call it in the language of the professional, they are emotionally handicapped. That's what we call it. A nice man, everything is nice, is good, polite, but something is wrong with his emotions are very, very schwach, as we say.
Not developed.
Not developed.
Cannot show emotion.
No. And that's a problem. That's a big problem. Why? Because you see a nice person, intelligent, everything is there. But when you start to talk to him about emotions,
Dry.
disappears on you. This is a type of handicap. When it's more severe, we call it Asperger. It's some kind of autism. It's a lower level of autism. He feels only himself. He cannot feel you. He cannot feel you.
Why?
Yeah. Very capable people. Extremely capable. Like Musk. You know that Elon Musk? He is Asperger. He cannot feel you. But himself, he feels very, very good. You know? Very sharp. Very sharp people. So now, when it comes to marriage life, I have a couple, 5 kids. 5 kids. She said, okay, I'll bring another one will be good. Bring another one, maybe it'll change. Another one, 5, she said, it's getting much worse. They came to me. I look at the guy. There is a guy in Chaim, Berlin, in the yeshiva, his name is Fruchtlander. Rich, like I don't know what. And he is making sure. But he has a real estate, maybe half Brooklyn. Yeah. But he sits all along in the yeshiva, and this guy runs the whole show. This guy, the Asperger one. I talk to the guy, I see. Heaven, like a stone. I said, look at your wife, she is a broken vessel. He said, she's too sensitive, she's too this. It's from her parents. She has a trauma from home. Now he became the therapist. All the terutzim he has, but he cannot explain how come he don't feel his own wife. So now imagine a person like that go to bed with his wife. Why? First of all, I don't know how she did it. Where was she?
Yeah.
Right? Don't you see that he is like a piece of wood? So now, after 5 kids, she woke up. He's sick. He is using me. As I said, she's crazy. He's telling me she's bad. We have to take her to LIJ. What does she want from me? I help her with the kids. I'm taking them to school. I pay the school. I pay everything. I'm fine. What do you want? She said. He started to bang on the table. What do you want from me? What do you want from me?
Well, if he is sick, what he cannot do?
He needs a treatment. He needs a treatment himself. But he cannot recognize, he cannot accept it.
There is no cure for that.
No cure for that.
He was born like this. He would die like this.
But it could be diagnosed.
Autism? Yeah, of course.
They can live with that. This kid. Only everybody can live that.
You see, so now people who don't understand can say, she I've done more.
Mentally, it's bad. It's bad.
Huh? Yeah. He's good. He's such a good husband. She says this, that. They don't understand that money and everything else doesn't play no role בכלל. A woman, the more I see jewelry, the more I know that the situation is על הפנים. I'm telling you.
The more jewelry, the more problem situation.
The more you see Kara, she's going like this, like that. Go to the Iranian weddings. Habibi. Millions. I know them all. They all don't have life. No life. So what a woman says, if I cannot have emotions, at least.
I'll suck this.
And they spend no rachmanut. No rachmanut. Huh? It's a part of the nekama.
Wow.
It's part of the revenge.
Revenge.
You say, I'm going to finish his money. But you're going to sing also. I don't care. They don't care. I'm telling you what you're doing. If there is a hole in the boat, you're all going to sink. You say, I'd rather sink. You're dealing with emotions. Emotions have no brain. You have to go along with it. You know? To supply what she needs. That's what makes you a man.
Yeah.
Why are you born a man? For what reason? Did you ask once? Ask yourself.
Yeah. Slowly we're starting to understand.
Yeah.
Huh?
We're slowly starting to
They
understand.
rather think it's terrible. They
A
rather
man is
think.
born to take charge, right? To be a captain, not to cave in, yeah? Not to say you like this. In the army, they taught us, you the captain, we're not gonna take any excuses from you. It's your fault. I don't know what you're gonna do. Can I come to my soldier and say, you stupid, you idiot, you have a trauma, you have this, you have that. That's not gonna help me. You have to supply each soldier
What they need.
what he needs.
Question, Rabbi.
Yes.
A girl that is dating